To you by Kessler Prime and the Renaissance, escargot, rack of lamb, all at Kessler Prime. Visit KesslerPrime.com to make a reservation. Pair it with like some Bialy Petite Syrah or Tito's Espresso Martini or an Elijah Craig Old Fashioned. KesslerPrime.com to make a reservation. NFL Chuck Mullins, attorney extraordinaire. Chuck Mullins, also Cleveland Browns superfan, has lived in Mississippi for 35 years.
Golly.
But he's from West Virginia, grew up a Bernie Kosar, Jim Brown, Lewis Lips fan, and the Dog Pound. And he is hanging with his Cleveland Browns now that they have Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel.
The wrist. I'm going to correct you.
Oh, did I mess up?
Lewis Lips did not play for the Browns.
Oh.
He played for the Steelers, which is...
Oh, that's right.
You might as well
Sorry.
just...
Hanford Dixon.
Same school. See, I was wondering what your thought process
was. The helmet I gave you.
Yeah, Hanford, yeah.
What was that? Who was that signed by?
It was Hanford.
I got that mixed up.
He created... So when you said that, I'm like, what the... What? No, yeah, great helmet, by the way.
Yes.
I
gave you that helmet when we met like 20 years ago through Scott Cook.
Yeah. Cookie. Speaking of which, have we been watching
Jake run?
Cook's little
what's the deal?
Combine? Hey, literally one summer we're at the beach. He's like a regular sized kid.
Right.
The next summer he's 6'3", 210.
Right.
I don't know what happened.
And didn't he he ran an unbelievable time in the MLB Combine?
Unbelievable time. It tied the broad jump.
Okay.
But he broke the 30-yard dash. They do it in 30-yard dash increments.
Okay.
That's it. And I'm thinking, even if it was just that he had the fastest time of the day.
That's still amazing.
But it's of all time. It's like,
so
wait, what?
Jake Cook from Madison Central, who's a starter at Southern Miss, okay, in the outfield, and had a really good year this year for Oz and the crew. What Chuck Mullins is referencing is they do an MLB combine, and he absolutely showed out with athleticism.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And he'll be back at Southern Miss, I guess.
Is he not eligible for the draft? I mean, how does that?
Yeah, he is.
I mean, he's junior.
That's right.
So
he may go.
A lefty that
I hadn't
runs
talked.
like
You would talk to Scott more than I would. We'll have to get the 411 in the break. You may already know, but and I don't want to give away anything that's not supposed to be given away. So, all right. Hanford Dixon is the helmet that I gave you years ago. Cleveland Browns, Southern Miss.
Hanford Dixon, Cleveland Browns, and
unbelievable player when I was a kid.
Frank Minifield
That's
created
what it was.
They started barking at each other, and the fans heard it, and they started barking in the 80s.
Okay,
so that's how you got the Dog Pound.
Yeah, I mean, when I was watching, so that's when Southern Miss played at Memorial Stadium all the time, Chuck, and he was one of the dudes that went through when Bobby Collins and Jim Carmody and all those guys were just winning. It got to the point where Mississippi State and Ole Miss stopped playing Southern Miss because they just got their tail beat.
Yeah.
Reggie Collier. But, I mean, there was a bunch of pros out of there.
This guy named Favre?
Yeah.
Favre?
Right. How many people messed that up the first few years he was in the league at the Atlanta Falcons and Green Bay Packers? Can you imagine him in Green Bay once he got traded in, I think, 91, right around the time Reggie White obviously signed? He was the big first free agent. They kind of put that together with Leroy Butler and Favre, and then the rest is – and Sterling Sharp went before injury. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Chimura. I mean, they had some dudes prior to –
yeah.
But can you imagine how many people in Green Bay were drinking a beer with Favre and trying to pronounce his last name, Chuck?
Yeah.
do we know the correct
Favre?
Okay.
Yeah.
Just Brett like Favre. Yeah.
Yeah. So
they just misspelled it.
They just
somebody just
look Mississippi Gulf Coast back in that day.
Yeah, that's a good point. Spelling.
I mean, the Gulf Coast now is a lot more refined.
Yeah.
During that time, it was not.
Wasn't much spelling going on down there.
It was not awesome. Today, like you drive down, if you got work down there, you're staying, it's really awesome.
Right.
Yeah, just down there.
It wasn't in 1982 or 86. It was total crap.
I mean, what did you have on the coast? then. You know, I came
Yeah,
down.
like what
in,
was down there?
Yeah, I came down in '91 for law school. So I went
And then
down,
the casinos passed at the same time.
Right. So when I went down that first time was in '92, and there were things. You know, there was obviously things going on.
Right.
So what was on the coast
I mean,
besides the Dixie Mafia?
that was it.
They were running it.
It was terrible. I mean, it just
Well,
wasn't. And now today it's the fastest growing spot in the state of Mississippi. And
It's
people are flocking there from everywhere. I just had
unbelievable.
2 friends buy homes in Ocean Springs.
That's why
Second homes.
that's why the prices are.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I mean, Ocean Springs, Bay St. Louis, and you go in, you got Pascagoula and all those other places that are just beautiful. Drove past it. I was thinking the same thing. Like the coast is going.
Oh, it's
Oh.
partying.
My
Like,
gosh.
Whether it's Ocean Springs or Bay St. Louis and everywhere in between.
Yeah, and my car
And the
get-
Back Bay is
Yeah, my car gets swallowed up in a pothole in Jackson, like literally daily. And they got drivable roads. Like you can drink the water.
I know.
People come pick your trash
It's
up.
amazing.
Thought you were talking about the ocean water.
Chuck
No.
Mullins on the Out of Bounds show. The text line is 601-885-3776. So he was telling the story of the dog pound
Yeah, that was cool.
in the Cleveland Browns.
I had no idea. Didn't know how that worked.
Hanford, Dixon, and Minifield.
Yep, Frank Minifield, Louisville.
This is when y'all were going to the playoffs all
Yes,
the time.
we were.
Right.
Yes,
And
good.
they created the dog pound took off in Cleveland and people went crazy.
It really was, and it's just like everybody. Management ownership ruins the fun.
Yeah.
So when the Browns left the league, we had the dog pound was in the end zone of the facing the lake.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the dog pound, and of course when we came back in '99, we had the corporate dog pound. Come and cheer on the Browns with the dog pound. It's just
weak.
all. And they're like,
Oh,
it's just kind of
it didn't go.
you got spelled out dog pound. Beware of the dog. It's kind of
Oh.
and we suck. So nobody's
Yeah, if y'all
afraid of
won.
the Browns coming in.
I got 2 buddies going to the Bengals Browns game, first game of the year.
You got 3
Okay, you're
right.
and Gavin.
going. And Gap. So I got 4
Bungles.
buddies go. So MP was telling me 2 weeks ago, he's like, dude, I'm going. They go every year
Okay.
to Cleveland. And he said, Cleveland may not win as much as they want, but he said, your tailgate is he said, the party outside the stadium starting at 7 a.m. in the morning is insane. I didn't know it was that big a deal. And he said, it's great.
It is, and we've never lost a tailgate. I kind of borrowing off the
Ole Miss deal.
thing.
Yeah.
But
They're better than Bills.
yeah. All right. So we're going to be staying at Airbnb, half a mile from the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't get the one we had a couple years ago.
Oh, man.
But you walk through all of just like any other place.
Yeah.
Tailgate. But I'm not going to say it's a college atmosphere,
Right.
but it is a very impressive turnout.
So,
Going, I've been to Atlanta, I've been to Carolina, I've been to New Orleans.
okay.
So there's some comparison there, but it's a good time.
Well, this guy's traveled a good bit, like all of us, and he loves, even though he's a Bengals fan, he loves going to the Browns game because of how much they party throughout the day.
Yes, we do. We have to.
Well, you have to. All right. So the Golden Moon Casino text line, 601-885-3776. If you have any questions for Cleveland Browns superfan NFL Chuck, hit us up on the text line, 601-885-3776. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. And we're brought to you by Superior Foundation. If you have cracks in the walls, that's miserable. Superior Foundation. French Drains, Superior Foundation. And driveways. They redo driveways and so on. Pool decks, superior.ms, Superior Foundation. Bow Bounds, NFL Chuck Mullins. He's coming from the trial attorney convention in New Orleans. Man, oh man. And so we may have to get a story or two from down there. And Chuck Mullins, attorney at law. Tell everybody what you specialize in.
Oh, hey.
As an attorney.
Staying out of trouble in New Orleans is what I specialize in.
Well, that's a good thing.
Thank you.
Tough one.
No, I thank you. I do criminal defense. I do felonies and misdemeanors all over the state of Mississippi, including federal court and also serious personal injury cases. And kind of like an offshoot of that, I do jail and prison abuse, any type of police abuse case. If it has serious injuries, I will look into helping people with that issue. What's
the biggest trial that you've been in your career? Because a lot of attorneys don't go to trial. You have been in some big trials over the last 25 years.
Yeah, I'm going to leave out the De La Beckwith case. I think that was more Buddy, Meredith Cox, my former partner.
Sure.
But I think that, and I always get a kick out of this, Benjamin Wade Allen, Ben Allen case a few years ago, I think would have been our biggest case.
Okay.
Just from the standpoint that people were interested in it.
Sure.
It was packed in the courtroom every day. A lot of media press, but I think Ben's case.
What about number? All right, so Ben Allen case 1. What was the number 2?
Oh man!
Frank Melton.
Oh, Frank. Man, no. Actually, I was going to go into the Sherrod Moore saga.
Okay.
And Jackson, you might want to have to Google on Sherrod. I got a court appointed to his case in the 90s. It was a death penalty.
Okay.
And then this was 96 or 7.
That's early in your career.
Very, very much so. And then I represented him off and on for the next 15, 16 years.
Really?
He had been charged with capital murder. Yeah, and then it just like he kept picking up these charges, Bo. Yep. And it was like, why you get picking on me?
Right.
It was a classic case of profiling. Right. They just kept tagging him. So, and you can't see my face. I'm joking right now. But he had, it was 2 capital murders, a quadruple homicide, 7 armed robberies, and a indictment for a Jackson police officer in the 90s. That was the cold case. So I think that would be.
When you're going to trial, is it like game day?
It is exactly like game day.
Because of the intensity you're representing, there's a lot on the line.
Yep.
Is it and do you get into that kind of where you're locked in for weeks depending on how long the trial is, you're locked in for weeks at a time, kind of like a coach. Like when I talk to coaches during the season, good Lord, it's not awesome. When you get them outside of the season, they'll actually have a good conversation with you.
That's an analogy of, I've been using that in my mindset because I used to play sports, obviously.
Sure.
And so how you prepared for your baseball games, you had a certain routine.
Absolutely.
You do the same thing with the trial, and you are locked in. It is your, it's your Sunday afternoon. It's you're lacing it up. All the sports analogies can come out, but that's exactly how I think of it.
Yeah.
And it's a 0-sum game. I mean, there are no moral. You go through all of these sports analogies, and it's the same thing. But that helps.
You're trying to find an edge.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what we talk about SEC football on Saturdays and the NFL especially on Sundays, because it's a fingernail's worth of difference so many times. You're trying to find an edge in that trial.
Yeah, absolutely. You're trying to do whatever you can. But, and you just said it, you're miserable.
Right.
You're not a happy person. You're staying up late. You're working long hours. You're not hanging out with your buddies
all the time.
Yeah. So
Saturday may as well, when you're locked into trial, Saturday's Tuesday. Sunday is Wednesday.
I just got through doing depositions. We're suing Hinds County for their lovely jail down in Raymond. So we had depositions a couple weeks ago. It was Memorial Day weekend. Not that, but you know what I was doing on Memorial Day weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday was getting ready for depositions.
You're locking in.
And you're locked in because you had to.
Right.
And I would love to have gone to the lake, to the beach or whatever.
Sure.
But the analogy of coaches in season and out of season is perfect.
Yeah.
Because you don't want anybody talking to you. Mm-mm. You know, you're not being a douche like a pitcher of the no-hitter going to the ninth inning, but you're locked into what you're doing.
You've got your client. There's a lot on the line, and it's so subjective because you're talking to humans.
Yeah.
Right.
Both a judge and a jury.
Yep.
And there's just too many variables, right? And you can't check all. I mean, you can try. You do everything you can to check all the boxes, but you don't know how they're going to think or act or believe. You know, so on.
The funniest thing,
it's fascinating to me. I just watch the shows. He's been in it.
Well,
and by the way, I've had several attorneys tell me you're a great trial attorney, and attorneys don't always give props.
Well, that's nice.
But you've won a lot of big cases in the courtrooom.
Yeah, I mean,
that's I know y'all like to settle too, but you've had to go all the way through to jury.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's I'm kind of stunned. Somebody gave me a compliment, so I'm trying to
process. Chuck
it.
Mullins on the Out of Bounds show.
Yeah, well, the only thing I would say that you mentioned the sports analogy, totally 100% in that regard, but it's like what we as youth. I mean, I used to be a youth sports coach.
Yeah.
So you're sitting around, you're stretching with the kids when they first come to practice, baseball, football, whatever it was. And you're talking to them and telling them, hey, look, not everybody here is going to go to college and play whatever sport we're doing.
Right.
But the lessons that you learn on the field
no question.
will follow you throughout life. It's you learn teamwork, you depend on people. You
preparation, all the things we're talking about.
It looks like Gavin. So Gavin played more sports than I did. He's a junior at Ole Miss. And I thought he would miss that competitive advantage because he always had it.
Right.
But he replaced that with studying.
Right.
And it's just, that's what he does. He works
accountability, discipline, all the stuff.
Yeah. So and that's what I tell those kids all the time. And, so when we're talking about taking our kids to sports, it's not because they're going to go to the major leagues. It's just a foundation, Yeah. But I think about that because I used to always tell them, you're gonna everything that you learn here, you're gonna be able to use in the rest of your life.
No question.
And people hate sports; they won't let their kids play sports. I get it; that's their thing. Yeah. Whatever, communists.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I mean, it's great for you, and then the mental and physical activity, and it's taxing on you, which really is good for you. Because that helps later in life when you're hitting the face and nose and everything else, like we all have been.
And here's the thing, too. And I imagine if the kids that are in other non-sports activities, maybe they do this as well. But when you play sports, your friends aren't just at the school you're in.
Yeah.
They're all over the place.
Right.
You know guys from, if you go to prep, JA, Madison Central, it's so much different than when we were growing up.
No question. And, of course, they can contact each other.
Oh, sure.
NFL Chuck Mullins, Cleveland Browns super fan. He is fired up over Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. They're going to rotate them every possession, every other possession. And they're going to let Dylan Gabriel run the option, and Shedeur will run it from the pocket. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN. We're also going to ask NFL Chuck if he likes onion rings on National Onion Rings Day. Back in a second. All right, good morning. Welcome in to the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Hope you had a good weekend. If you're an LSU fan, you did. Or an Oklahoma City Thunder. We had a couple of champions over the weekend. First title for Oklahoma City. And, not many people were into that. I mean, it's not two major markets. They want New York, L.A., some of the others, Philly, so on, Chicago. Of course, it's been a long time since Chicago was really, really good. But Oklahoma City Thunder get the dub after going through Durant and Westbrook and several other good players. They finally put it together. It's a well-run franchise that's
incredible.
That's not a top 15 market in the NBA.
Beautifully run.
You know, we talk about how Mississippi State and Ole Miss can kind of, skin the cat. They don't in basketball and baseball. They can. It's not as many players, and both teams are spending $10 million on their teams in basketball this year, which is incredible.
Then Durant got traded.
I saw that to Houston.
Blockbuster. So they say.
You just hijacked the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Well, when you say OKC Thunder, you think of Kevin Durant.
You do.
You don't think of anything other than.
No, you're right. You're right.
That's it. When did they make the transition from the Sonics?
Chuck and I would have to come up with that. Chuck, so
early
Ansu. No, I mean even Ansu Cisse played for the Supersonics. Yeah. That was on into the I think it was like
2000s.
2 or 3.
Yeah, it's like all right. When you hear Seattle Supersonics,
Gary Payton, Sean Kemp,
I immediately
George Karl,
Ray Allen.
A little bit, but
Jack
more
Sigma.
Kemp and
Jack Sigma.
Yeah,
the correct answer is Jack Sigma. Okay. I see
7'2",
just the biggest,
really couldn't move. Not that good, really. At the end of the day,
I just like Sigma. Sikma. I don't know why.
Yeah,
he looked like a Viking.
They had great uniforms.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh man,
everything from lime green to dark green and mixed in
it was
a couple
Oregon
other
Duckish.
colors. It was. Now that
they steal that from the Sonics?
They may. You know what? I wonder if because Nike was up in Oregon's, Sonics are up in Seattle, if there was some, I don't know. There was a lot of creativity and innovation, I guess.
Something has always bothered me. How does Seattle lose a NBA franchise to Oklahoma?
I don't know. I don't know how that happened. Was it
08?
Paul Allen just passed away in the last few years. Did he? I don't know if he owned that team. No, he's a trailblazer.
Portland.
He's Portland.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened. That's a great question.
It just seems like Seattle's on the come. It's always been, on the edge of, you mentioned Nike, that region up in, that area.
Microsoft and everything else.
Just, I know it rains a lot, but I don't know if that's a reason to leave Seattle to go Oklahoma.
No.
Anyway.
I mean, the Seahawks and the Mariners are there to stay. They take, by the way, every time they recruit in free agency, they take them to the site of the Oklahoma City bombing.
Oh, wow.
I read that in a book several years ago.
Pretty cool.
The general manager, just to explain the impact that it had on the city, what that player's walking into and so on.
Yeah.
And I thought it was both heavy, but also a cool I mean,
I love it.
for them to,
awesome.
It doesn't matter who, if you're brought in either draft pick or free agent to Oklahoma City, they take you there within the first day of you being there.
And the entire time that we've been talking about Oklahoma City, that's what I've been thinking about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just your, where you were when you heard about that story.
Right.
And I was a first year law student. I
Were you?
remember that. I could just, when it happened, it just, so I can see it being impactful for, I don't get the motivation for it, but I get it. It's more
I think
community.
they're just trying to give a kind of a historical reference of the town and the impact there. But, that's an Oklahoma Sooner football state, period. End of discussion.
Ain't close.
And with what happened there the last 60 years, and then the Thunder come in and they're huge there. They're not bigger than Oklahoma football, but they're big, and they finally get a championship. Oklahoma football is one of ton of national
Yeah.
championships and given us a bunch of players in the Heisman's and NFL and so on. So it's a great point that they were kind of out in the middle. But Oklahoma City's boomed.
Oh, it's
And look, having an NBA franchise helps.
it's dope.
No doubt about it.
It's cool.
So where are they located in Oklahoma City? Is it Oklahoma City?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's OKC. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
It's not even a suburb.
It's like-
So Norman's
No.
a suburb.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just.
My heart in the middle of it.
Yeah. In the arena. Have you been to the arena?
I've not been to the arena. No.
But it's downtown?
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I bet it's super nice.
They'll
I'm
come.
sure there's people listening that have been.
But regardless, that place is whatever color you want to call Oklahoma.
All right. Let's switch gears. NFL Chuck Mullins on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Cleveland Browns super fan. Who's going to be your starting quarterback? Is it going to be Flacco?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going by what I think will happen. But when you're thinking about being logical, that and the Cleveland Browns don't have much in common.
That's true.
Sorry. You can look at. Okay.
So until he gets hit in game 5.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And Mason, look, I hope Mason Graham, who the Browns picked in the 5th overall with the 5th pick, turns out to be an amazing player, of course. But they're going to look back on that draft day and say, why didn't we get Travis Hunter?
Wow.
He's right there.
He's right there.
We didn't have to do anything. He literally just fell in your lap because you sucked last year.
Right.
And you, just like you did with who was a wide receiver from Atlanta that just retired?
Julio Jones?
Julio. Yeah, we traded back.
Pass.
Yeah. Well, sorry, we're good. We want Phil Taylor.
Phil Taylor. Is he a CPA now in Western Ohio?
I was like, wait, you don't want him? Nah. He's good and all of it. We won't trade back.
Julio Jones. Freak.
And he went off at the combine.
Yeah.
So this was before, you'd have those you get in there and have a great 40 and he's going to be a top 10 pick. And everybody kind of, with Julio, I think we're kind of hesitant because he didn't do that much at Georgia.
Bama.
Bam, sorry.
Yeah, well,
they didn't
Nick
run,
ran it 9 out of 10 times because he had Ingram
So
and
you didn't know how to
Richardson
judge
and
him.
somebody else.
It's like it's like Calvin for the Detroit
Johnson, Georgia Tech. They were running the triple.
Yeah, it's like how do you he's got 2 receptions in 4 years.
Right.
But he looks good.
Right.
Yeah. Who evaluated that guy?
Yeah.
How did that work?
It's I don't know. They got it right there.
Okay.
Yeah, they nailed it.
I got a couple of questions for
Okay.
you. It's National Onion Rings Day.
Uh-huh.
You like them?
I love them.
Me too.
Again, I don't know. I mean, I can remember from a kid because they were it's a delicatessen
Yeah.
back then that you went to a place that actually had onion rings.
Did y'all have them in West Virginia?
Yes.
I'm being serious. I thought it was more of a Southern thing.
No.
Okay.
We
They're
had
not Southern?
Well, I thought they were because we fry everything, but
Yeah.
evidently they had access to them too.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a big
But I mean, the ones that like McBee's, Burgers and Blues, Hal and Mal's, Martin's. I mean, these people, they do it right.
Yeah.
Blues full serve.
okay, so you're on this. I don't like the big Bermuda oniony thing.
Flash fried, smaller.
Yeah.
But I don't want
Smaller.
heavy beer batter.
Yeah, I was like, because once you get past the goodness, then you get a big old slimy.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I like a little slimy onion.
Right,
Not
right.
a big old slimy onion.
All right. So Chuck Mullins likes onion rings. All right. What is your go-to app on your phone?
Twitter.
Really?
X.
Yeah.
About
And
seven.
we talked I think for guys, I mean, men and women, but for guys, as far as sports, business, and politics,
That's
and you can set it up.
Yep.
You can set up basically your own algorithm over time as you click on what you like, and it feeds you. Plus, you can do TweetDeck on your laptop, which just puts it in, business, sports, Cleveland Browns, whatever it is you want to follow, and so on. Okay, do you fast food apps? You take care of yourself, so I don't know if you even have one on your phone. Do you have a fast food app on your phone?
I actually have McDonald's because they.
I would have lost money.
The heaterest of the heater apps.
Yeah, the reason why there's one right across where I live,
Okay.
and an Egg McMuffin
Oh.
is actually a very healthy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I saw
We
it.
talked about it, yep.
Men's Health magazine years ago came out with a breakfast, and they had the McMuffin was one of the top ones.
Healthiest.
I was like, no joke.
Egg
Sure enough.
McMuffin.
Yeah, it's a
Egg-
classic for a reason.
Absolutely.
Okay,
They're so good.
I'm calling BS.
You get a little-
But an Egg McMuffin every now and then is good. And I don't know why it is, but like if you're driving to the beach or you're leaving the beach and you're ready to get either there or home, a quick hit on the Egg McMuffin
Yeah,
works. All
it
right,
does.
so McDonald's. Anything else? Food wise? Do you do DoorDash?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Busy
I particularly like to do Chinese food.
Really?
Oh.
Well,
Wait,
but
do you-
Chinese takeout just works.
Why don't you let the?
It works.
It's meant to be taken out.
It really
is.
It's not meant to be set.
When's the
down.
last time you went and sat down in a
Not at night.
No.
It's like,
At lunch every now and then.
Yeah.
Blake and I would go to,
but Lake, how's he doing?
he's
I
doing.
see-
It was his birthday yesterday, so I texted him, wished him happy
Oh,
birthday,
cool. I'll have to reach out.
and he's doing well,
It's
man.
always good to see the kids go off on
Yeah.
their own, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah. I have to holler at him. I saw him at, I can't tell you where it was
No, that's okay.
because it's not sponsored, but he's doing good. I saw him.
All right. Do you do Kroger or Walmart drops?
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
Walmart, haven't done Kroger.
Okay. I just didn't know if you got groceries delivered to the door. You obviously DoorDash food. Chinese is a brilliant thing.
Yeah, it's just-
takeout.
it's so easy. Okay.
Open a bottle of wine.
Boom.
The night's good.
Exactly.
Egg rolls. We had. Didn't we have National Egg Roll Day?
Yeah, we did recently.
I love a good egg roll.
But it's, you hit
Ding
upon
Hao is where Blake always took me for lunch.
It's
Damn good.
Um,
Mr. Chin's.
yes, egg rolls should always be good,
Oh,
but they're not. And
No.
there's nothing worse than getting a bad egg roll.
I agree with you.
It's like you
Terrible.
kind of look back. You give them the shrug, like what's this supposed to be?
Well, you just
going on?
you said it earlier. An egg roll is a delicacy, and those that do it well, they're
Oh, wow.
amazing. I mean, whether it's an appetizer or you just go, you make it a meal. But they're doing so many different things with it's like tacos with the filling and egg rolls. They're doing all the culinary dudes are doing here and abroad are doing great stuff.
Yeah. I hear
All
you.
right. Was there fantasy? Do you play? I know you play fantasy football. You and Gavin and crew. Do you play fantasy baseball?
I did 1 year, and I couldn't do it.
Too
Oh.
much.
It's too much.
It's tough.
I
Yeah.
mean, if football is tough enough, but no, I
Right.
couldn't imagine doing it.
Daily grind, baby.
Chuck Mullins on the Out of Bounds show. NFL Chuck, Cleveland Browns super fan. He'll be at the first game this year against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Jamar
No.
T.
The MVP run. Here we
And,
go.
I think the Bengals are just like, hey, we're going to try to score 33 points a game.
and they probably will.
If we win 33-28, then we can find our way into the playoffs at 10-7 or 9-8, maybe.
Signed Trey Hendrickson.
This was interesting last week. Uber. Do you? I sit in the back. Now, if it's a bunch of us, I'll sit in the front. If it's just you and you're either here or traveling, do you sit in the front of the Uber or do you sit in the back?
Back passenger seat,
Yeah.
always.
Me too.
Always.
Me too.
Because, you don't want to sit right behind somebody get whacked.
Right.
So, and I never sit up front because that's a little weird. But I kind of feel like Miss Daisy getting driven around in an Uber, but that's okay.
Right.
I'm in the back.
Okay.
That's what it's there for.
Is there
Yeah.
anything else that we high school research topic?
All
No,
right.
paper. Do you remember what you wrote your high school? I did mine on Eudora Welty.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And she slammed the door in my face. I walked down with a pen and notebook because that's what you and I had when we were. And my mom sent me down there. She lived 4 houses down from us, and I went down. I knocked on the door, and she slammed the door on me. So my mom ended up writing my term paper. I tried.
Noise.
Mama tried.
Go ahead. So do you remember what
I
you
do.
wrote? Either whatever they called it, where you're from.
Yeah, wherever I'm from.
Well, everybody
It
can
was-
have a different.
No, I typically, if I get 2 minutes to tell you the story.
Yeah, we got
This girl liked me.
Oh.
And so we had this voluntary research paper in ninth grade.
Voluntary.
Voluntary.
Yeah.
And so,
Sounds like opt-out.
the teacher's like, if you're going to go to college, it's very important. And I was thinking, I ain't going to college.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to do it. So
Did you think that?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm college, me. I mean, nobody in my family went to college. So,
Okay.
yeah, I was totally
Were you the first graduate?
Really?
first graduate.
That's awesome. Go ahead.
Anyway, So we're sitting there. Oh shoot! I just had a gray moment.
Well, we're talking about your term paper.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, it just went. So
And this girl that
this girl liked me. She put my name in the hat to write a research paper with her. Two people. So
That's
the
so
teacher,
good.
Anyway, so
that's what schools should do.
Right.
Allow you to
yeah,
partner
man.
up.
So the day before, we met at the library,
Yeah.
did the research, but it was on rock and roll, history of rock and roll. So at least that,
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
So I swear to God,
Mine was a swinging miss.
Pam comes up to me. This is a young lady, still friends. And she said, "Hey, how are you coming along on your research paper?" And I'm like, "What?" And it's due the next. I was like, "What do you mean? I thought you're doing it." So, we each have to do one. I'm like, so I went home and crammed weeks of, blurbs that I got on note cards. Your note card.
Yeah.
And it was probably unreadable. And they actually considered sending me to a Forrest Gump type school after that because it was so bad.
Are you serious?
That's awesome.
Oh, you're kidding.
But
I
it's
was going
like-
to say, and you made it all the way through law school.
Exactly. That's called irony, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you weren't 100, like by ninth grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, you weren't 100% for sure going to college.
I was the summer before my senior year.
Because you played college baseball.
I did, and I had a cheerleader. We were talking. We were watching something was going on football wise, and she said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "I guess I'm going to the Navy." My brother went to the Navy. My dad was in the Navy.
Okay.
And then things happen.
What do you mean things happen? To go from the Navy to a lawyer?
Well,
Well, hang on. He's walking us through.
in the 80s, 70s, 80s.
Not everybody was going to college.
It was.
Oh,
not-
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
So if you go to like Jackson Prep's graduation,
Everybody's going.
literally.
okay.
Yep.
All right. That was not the case in the 80s. And you still had like jobs on the railroad. My dad worked on a railroad.
And you were in rural America.
Yeah. I mean, we were in, right on the Hatfield McCoy,
Yeah.
Kentucky, West Virginia border.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you're thinking, I thought I was going to go to like my brother-in-law, and my dad, Navy, and then go to work on the railroad for 30 plus years and retire. And, that was going to be life.
Right.
That's your John Mellencamp song.
So how did you? We've still got plenty of time. Chuck Mullins on the Out of Bounds show, attorney here, played college baseball. He's a Cleveland Browns fan. I got to ask him if he grew up a Kentucky Wildcat basketball fan. But before that, all right. So how did this happen? Somebody recruited you?
Well, yeah. My high school coach at the time, Steve Canties,
Who you went up to a big deal of his a couple of years ago?
yeah. So he, that was my college.
That was
coach.
your college coach.
This is a high school coach.
Okay.
Yeah, he was one of those younger teachers, so he kind of related to the closer to age.
Absolutely.
Well, he started talking to me about going to junior college. I never heard of a junior college, and it was like, what do you mean? But and he went through, of course, Mississippi's got the best junior college system, I think, in the country. So we sent out letters to Miami-Dade, Pensacola.
Yeah.
Miami-Dade actually wrote me back, and they wanted me to come down. But I'm so glad I didn't go down there because that's where Alex Rodriguez. All those, that's
They
where
were
they
a
go.
powerhouse.
Yeah, I know. And that was the time period.
Well, they were unbelievable. They were the feeder system.
They were the
For Miami
feeder
and
system
Frazier.
for Miami, and they were just dominant. They were getting the guys off the boat from Cuba,
Right.
and Honduras.
All Central America.
Yeah, I talked to the
awesome
coach, and
players.
he's like, "Do you speak Spanish?" That's what he asked me.
You're right.
That's like, no. But anyway, so it started there, and then I went to a Christmas camp. I'll never forget this down in Florida. I missed Christmas my senior year to go to a baseball camp. It was the Denny and Doyle brothers, Doyle.
Okay.
They all played Major League Baseball. And they had this daggone awesome camp that they ran back then. If I'm saying it back then, how well it was.
Yeah.
And so I got looked at down there.
Okay.
And then the senior year. And, that's where I went to college. So I always we talked about sports earlier, the foundation of building blocks that it is. And so for me, it helped me get to college. I would not have gone to college, I don't think,
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
How many in your class? What was the percentage of people who went to college in your
wow.
class?
Ooh, man. Half?
Really?
Yeah.
Because
I could go through the yearbook and pick them out.
no, but I mean, roughly 50%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then others, like you said, went to the armed forces or just went
Railroad
ahead and went
yeah.
to work at a factory.
Welding, whatever they did.
Sure.
But just about half.
Okay.
So when did you know you were going to be a lawyer?
Oh, yeah. Did you?
Like, when did that click?
All right. Well, this is,
We got 3 or 4 minutes.
all right, cool. Hill Street Blues.
Great.
Hill Street
Show.
Blues. I used to watch that on Thursday night. That was my last show before bed. You know, it came on at 10 after Cheers and Cosby.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you night court. So I stayed up late to watch that, and I fell in love with Veronica Hamill, who played the public defender.
Yeah.
And now I know this is stupid, but I just like, man, I wonder if I could be a lawyer. You know, that looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this. This is my sophomore year in college. We were in the bullpen. I used to try to act like I was a pitcher in college. And so we're sitting around talking.
This is great.
And I was like, Steve C. Kelly, who is he's like Kramer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Compliment.
Yeah. He's
Love
just
that.
that kind of,
You've got a little bit of that.
and he's like, we were talking and he's like, so what are you going to do when you get out of college? And I said, I'd like to go to law school. He said, what's your GPA? And I told him, he said, you ain't going to law school. And, you know, you're supposed to build somebody's confidence in the bullpen, right?
Right.
I was like, man, none. So it was.
So you eventually get into MC law school.
I got an MC, and I am a UK basketball fan, diehard back in the day.
I figured if you're on the border,
Yeah.
then you were all into Joby Hall and Kenny Skywalker.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, diehard.
I bet y'all got radio. I bet y'all got Kentucky men's
my
basketball
God. It was
when you were growing up.
the Reds and the
On radio.
We had the Reds,
Reds.
and we had UK basketball.
So he got the big red machine.
That's it, man. And perfect. I mean, you.
And Pete Rose coming over.
Peak timing.
I mean, good Lord.
It was just, it was amazing. Joby Hall was probably, that person that just goes to a party and just ruins it for everybody.
Yeah.
That's Joby Hall.
No question.
He would have the most
Talented.
exciting, and they they were molded to his personality, which sucked.
Yeah.
It was just, anyway.
He had a lot of talent that he wasted post Adolph Rupp, but he was his number one assistant, promoted from within back then.
No, I mean, you win.
But Kenny Skywalker and that whole group, they never did anything in the 80s. Alabama was the best basketball program in the SEC, believe it or not, in the 80s. Wimp went to 6 Sweet 16s. He could never get to the Elite Eight, and Dale Brown knocked down a Final Four in 87.
Well, let's see. This is Joby Hall's problem,
I
man.
think Durham went in 80 with Dominique.
He had that. He won one to 78, and he had the disastrous Georgetown game.
We may do another hit. We may not. He may have to go practice law.
No.
You're listening to Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Look down, but.
Say, kids, what time is it?
It's 9 a.m. and this ain't okay show. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. As Mississippi's #1 morning show rolls on the Zone 105.9 and online at thezone1059.com.
Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The